this is Barry. I guess it's about time for another car video. In this video, I'm going to talk about a 57 Plymouth Belvedere two-door hardtop. This car, I found out, had been in a tin building. I think it was approximately 35 feet by 50 feet. A small mechanic shop. That's probably what it had been like in the 60s. I guess they shut down and whoever had it died or whatever, and the woods grew up around it. Not many people knew it was there. And I'd been, as a child, riding by there on the way to my grandfather's house on North Market Street here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And in my teen years, I was looking for a 57 or 58 Plymouth, my dream car. And little did I know, I'd been on the highway within a couple of 100 feet of this building, but the woods were all grown up around it, and I didn't know. But when they started clearing out the woods for I-49 to intersect North Market Street, well, somebody found this building and found that the people who had had the mechanic shop there had left a 57 Plymouth Belvedere two-door hardtop sitting in there. Now, this building wasn't insulated. It was just a building with tin on the outside with a concrete slab. And down here in the south, a building like that that's not insulated and there's no ventilation, it's a sweat box. Now, this car had been sitting in there for decades. The humidity is very high in this area in the summer. So sadly, this car was in a sweat box all these years. And as you can see in these pictures, it's pretty rusty. It's going to take a lot of love to get this car back in driving condition. It's going to take somebody who is pretty good at sheet metal work to replace, some of this metal. I mean, you can see here the trunk floor is gone, the gas tank's gone, a lot of rust. It's going to take a lot of love. From my experience of fooling around with old cars to try to keep the rust from starting in the first place with the condensation forming on the bottom of the car, is to have good ventilation. A carport that's open, the air can blow through and evaporate off the moisture that builds up on the bottom of the car. Either that or have an enclosed garage that's preferably insulated. But I've seen some people have this muscle car or classic car they want to protect, but they don't drive it that much anymore, and they park it right on the side of the house and put a tarp over it. So basically it's under a waterfall, and the tarp keeps the ventilation out, so it builds up condensation as well. A guy who had a really nice 69 Chevelle, he took the insurance off of it and he just wasn't going to drive it for a while. And that's what he did. He parked it up close to the side of his house to where when it would rain, it fell right on the car. Or in the mornings when there was condensation on the roof, it would drip right on the car. And he had a tarp over it. The car, it got pretty rusty within several years. It would have been better if he'd have just parked it out in the open. Yeah, the sun damage is still going to occur, but at least it would have had ventilation. But I knew one man who had a really nice 69 fastback Mustang. I believe it was a Mach 1. I don't remember what engine it had, but he fixed it up real nice. And I guess he was single because he tore the wall out of his living room and put a garage door there. And he parked that car in his living room. So, climate controlled. The car will last forever just about. Even the door seals and all the rubber parts, they don't seem to deteriorate under those conditions. So it's good to protect them from the elements, and it's important to protect them from condensation. But that brings me to a story about I wasn't sure if I should tell you this in this video, but I had a little story from back when I bought a bunch of my 57 and 58 Plymouths earlier in life when I was a teenager, late teens, early 20s, around there, I guess. But the man told me there in Hemphill, Texas, where I bought these cars from him, he owned a body shop. And Hemphill, Texas is the town where around the first part of 2003, the space shuttle Columbia broke apart and a lot of it fell down there in Hemphill, Texas. It's a East Texas town. But he said there's a man over there who works at that small radio station, and he has a 59 Plymouth. He bought it brand new, and for decades since he bought it, he would drive it to the radio station, you know, a few miles, 3 or 4 miles every morning. So he didn't put that many miles on it, but in the morning he drove it so that the condensation would evaporate off. And this car didn't have any rust. It was well maintained. I believe it had less than 100,000 miles on it. It was a 59 Plymouth 4-door. It had the 230 cubic inch inline flathead 6-cylinder engine and an automatic. And it was in great shape body wise. It was in great shape, you know, mechanically. And this car was in such good condition you can get in it and drive it anywhere. And they wanted $1,500 for it, and I just, you know, spent pretty much all the money I had buying Plymouths from him, so I had to pass on it. It's one of those regrets that I think about from time to time. But a man bought this car, you know, it was $1,500. That was a good deal for a car in that condition. And he got it, and he was enjoying it, and his house burned down, and it was in the garage. Yeah, that's sad. But this 57 Plymouth, it's got the V8. It's probably the 301 because that year, according to the book I have, the 318s only came in the Fury. The 301 was basically the same engine as the 318. The 318s just had a larger cylinder bore. I couldn't get under the hood to look at it, and it was a push-button automatic, and it had power steering. But I imagine there's some of you out there that even though this car has issues that would need a lot of love, there's somebody somewhere that would love to have this car, because some cars are so rare it doesn't matter how much of it's rusted away. It's worth the sheet metal work to repair and replace to get it back to where it can be fired up and take it down the highway for a drive. But I just wanted to show you this car I came across and tell you a little story about Plymouth. Thank you for watching.